This is a team that's won in London, won in Philadelphia, won in Denver, and came from behind 3 times in the last 3 weeks to win the game. I don't know what else you want. I mean, you can find problems with everything and enjoy it while you have it, because this is a winning Broncos team with winning characteristics that can win a championship this year.
Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos and Bourbon. I am your host, Phil Milani. Very excited to have former Broncos offensive lineman Ryan Harris join the program today. Lucky I got Ryan because he does color commentary for the Irish broadcast, Notre Dame Irish, and this is their bye week. So had a chance to catch up with Ryan. He's a busy guy doing all kinds of different media gigs. And so he's got a lot going on, and he made some time to join Broncos and Bourbon here today. An outstanding conversation. Ryan, one of the most optimistic people I know. And so, hey, talking about this Broncos team, 3 quarters, it looked like a disaster against the Giants, but then magic struck in Power Field at Mile High, and that fourth quarter is something that we'll remember for a very long time. So I asked Ryan, how do you weigh what happened in the first 3 quarters to what happened in that fourth quarter? Do you have some concerns? Ryan was all positive as the Broncos here now have to turn the page after that emotional and sort of just magical win against the Giants, have to turn the page to another NFC East opponent here with the Dallas Cowboys coming to town. This is going to be a heck of a game. So I asked Ryan a little bit about the matchup coming up against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams coming back to Denver here. He's having a career year. CeeDee Lamb is back healthy with the Cowboys. So this is going to be a great game coming up on Sunday, although I'm not sure anything could top what we experienced last Sunday. So if you like this conversation, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're continuing to grow the Broncos and Bourbon community here, so please like and subscribe. But with that, here is my conversation with former Broncos offensive lineman Ryan Harris. Ryan, thanks so much for taking some time to come on the program, man. How you been?
I've been great. Always great to be with you, Phil. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thanks so much. It's a blast to get to catch up with you a little bit here. How was the Super Bowl 50 reunion? That looked like you guys were having a ton of fun.
I can't put it into words. It was the most fun for a football weekend since Super Bowl 50. I mean, what was amazing is how much love we still have for each other. It's just constantly just people grabbing you, hugging you, and a lot of us got to have our kids around too. So, you know, my teammates who I played next to got to speak to my kids and tell them what I was like back when I was young, you know, things like that. And it was really a successful group. And of course, it was tremendously sad to not have DT there, to not have Ronnie Hillman there, to not have Coach Knapp there. And at the same time, it brought us closer because we understood how rare it was that we, won a Super Bowl, but 2, that we could celebrate again 10 years later. So I'm so grateful to the Walter Penner family. They did not have to celebrate the Super Bowl 50 team, and it was the most amazing weekend since Super Bowl 50.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. And I thought like what Emmanuel said out at halftime, like it was all beautiful. And I just thought everything was so good. And, you know, I did see one clip, though. It was when, do you remember before media night, we were all hanging out in that staging area and I gave you a mic and I was like, hey, go around and interview your teammates. Man, I saw one of those clips from that, and it made me laugh a little bit. So,
yeah, it was funny. I honestly didn't know Trevor Simeon's last name. I always thought it was Simon, and you know, he quips back, "No, it's Simeon." And I said, "Well, I didn't know rookies had last names." You know, so hey. And fun to see what Trevor was able to do with his career, and just what a group of guys, and what a talented group. But I'll tell you what, Phil. It takes more than talent to win a Super Bowl. You have to have people who care about your teammate. You care not only about your performance, but you're going to do everything to make sure your teammate's good. And that might be off the field. That might be going to dinner to make sure you guys work through something or that they get to know you outside of the workplace. And we had just the most unique group of guys that were willing to work hard for each other, and everybody was in that building at 7:30 in the morning. No one's asking questions what you did before now, but everybody was there ready to work.
Yeah, that was a close team, man. I believe it. Man, you looked so much different in that clip. I got to commend you, man. You must be getting after it in the gym, huh?
Hey man, I'm about 5, 6 months now gluten free. I can't
Wow.
stand it. But the third day, for the first time, I had ten surgeries while I was in the NFL for 10 years, and no back pain, no knee pain. So I love Snickers bars, but got to give them up for now. I'm trying to be a dad forever, you know.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, congratulations, man, because you look awesome. You got a lot going on. Media, it's just awesome to see all the success after your playing career. Let's talk about this Broncos team because, man, for 3 quarters there, everybody was saying, "I can't believe they're playing like this with the Super Bowl 50 team in attendance," and then all of a sudden, magic struck.
I mean, one of the things you got to take away first is that this is a team that believes it's going to win the game. I mean, anybody who's been at work at 3 o'clock on a Friday, that's where they were in the fourth quarter. That was 3 o'clock on a Friday. It wasn't going very well. But they did kind of channel that spirit of the Super Bowl 50 team because I think we won 9 games within a field goal that year. And yet at the same time, in every game, we understood what had to happen and what could happen to finish the game. And that's what you saw. That's the most dangerous team. I mean, at one point it was 26-8 in the fourth quarter, under 7 minutes. I mean,
Crazy.
it took me 4 years in the NFL to realize, like, oh, you can still win games late, right? So
Yeah.
they have that belief as a team. The other things they can figure out. Now, the biggest problem are the penalties now. That's the biggest problem. But after the penalties, it's just about executing and finding better plays earlier in the game. But make no mistake, it is very much a championship staple to win games you're not supposed to because you didn't give up, and that's what the Broncos did on Sunday.
Yeah, some of those teams that the Broncos had for a few years there where it wasn't going well, that's a slippery slope when the game starts out, slow and things aren't working. Man, you can just throw in the towel. But yeah, it says a lot about this team that they continue to battle like that. But is it concerning to you that like, hey, this team is 5-2, like they're one of the better teams in the AFC, but like they could still go out and have 3 quarters like that against the Giants team?
Well, first and foremost, we can't be unhappy with wins, right?
Yeah.
Let's take all the stuff that's happened between Super Bowl 50 and the last year, and let's just get it out of your mind, Broncos country. It's okay. You're 5-2. You're one of the best teams in the AFC. And oh, by the way, your team has confidence not only in every game they've played, but against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are still going to be fighting for that top spot. So it's early in the season still. You're kind of close to that halfway mark. But this is a team that's won in London, won in Philadelphia, won in Denver, and came from behind 3 times in the last 3 weeks to win the game. I don't know what else you want. I mean, you can find problems with everything and enjoy it while you have it because this is a winning Broncos team with winning characteristics that can win a championship this year.
Wow. So you're seeing some of the signs that say, hey, this does look like a team that has the ingredients to go all the way.
Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, and Zach Allen say hello, right? Talanoa Hufanga says hello. I mean, this defense, I know what a great defense looks like, and the Broncos have one. The fact that Justin Cernod had that interception, I mean, that's a guy from Wake Forest that was a mid-round pick. He's playing the best football of his life. I mean, you might be able to win games 19-14, 21-17. I mean, that's eventually where this goes once you get to the playoffs because the teams are so good. But the biggest thing that's going to be the bugaboo is the penalties. You commit penalties against the Chiefs, they're scoring touchdowns, not field goals. And those are the things that is a mental focus and just about maintaining that intensity of focus throughout the play that they have to do on both sides of the football.
Yeah, I know that you do all the games like with around the league too with Westwood and stuff. Like you're paying attention to the whole NFL. What does it look like in the AFC right now? Because maybe some of the teams that we thought were going to be really elite aren't there. It seems like maybe there is an opening for this Broncos team.
More than anything right now in the AFC West, the Broncos are, to me, are the leading team. Now, you got the Chiefs that just had a blowout victory against a bad Raiders team. Everybody was happy to see the Raiders lose, right? However, the one team that's strange to me in the AFC West are the Chargers. They have huge, big wins, and then they have unexplainable losses. So you could have 3 teams from the AFC West there, or you could get a spot which usually happens in the AFC West where some team is out of the playoffs but is still good enough to play spoiler. I think the Chargers are the spoiler, and hopefully they steal 1 or 2 from the Chiefs and make it an easier road. But make no mistake, the Broncos are in the driver's seat of the AFC West.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, but I do think that the Chiefs are lurking there, man. I'm always paying attention to what the Chiefs are doing. You can just, anytime that Mahomes is there, it feels like they're just kind of rounding into form. I cannot wait for that Broncos-Chiefs game, in about a month here. I think that we'll know a lot more about this Broncos squad. How do you sum up what happened there on Sunday? I mean, have you ever seen an ending like that where they score 33 points in the fourth quarter? I mean, that was something I feel like I've never seen something like that.
Well, I think it was DT shining down from above saying, hey, guys, let's do this. I mean, he passed at age 33. There was two 8-point touchdowns, right, with the 2-point conversions. So 88 was all over there. You know, what you saw is a team determined to finish and unwilling to think about losing. And I'll tell you, Phil, the best teams I were on and the best players I was on, the best players I played with, they just didn't believe and think about losing. And I always thought it was amazing because it's the best thing to do in competition. How can we think about losing when we already know how to lose? We're going to focus only on what has to happen to win the game. And that's what you saw from the Broncos on both sides of the football, playing their best football in the fourth quarter. Now, there's the other situation where Brian Daboll has been bad. He has needed to be fired for a long time. He's not a successful coach. Danny Dimes says hello on a Pro Bowl season. How come he couldn't play in New York? And if you run the ball and you're the Giants, you likely win that game. So that was just another example of when perseverance will beat any kind of situation. And you also got a great example of what terrible coaching looks like, even though somehow Brian Daboll is talked about because he's got Jackson Dart in there. It's unacceptable, and coaches need to get called out too because they call out players every day, Phil.
Yeah, that's true. A couple of weeks in a row that the Broncos have benefited from some interesting coaching decisions on the other side of the ball. That is for sure. The personality of this Broncos team, though, that like, hey, losing isn't an option. Where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's something that Bo has brought here? Because we've seen his fiery attitude, that we've seen that competitor in him that out there on the field, or you think it's something that from Sean with the culture? Like, how did this get into these guys?
Well, I think it starts with the Walton Penner ownership group bringing in Sean Payton, right? Mm-hmm. Bringing in a quality and an elite coach that understands what you have to win a championship. The Broncos are physical. The Broncos have speed on offense, right? The Broncos have one of the best defenses, arguably in the history of the NFL, probably likely to break the sack record before the 17th game. I mean, that's insane if they get over that sack record of the 85 Bears. So you've got all these things that Coach Payton knows you have to have. And so I think it starts with the Walton Penner ownership group. It's getting Sean Payton in there, George Payton getting the right players. I mean, wow, what a steal for Zach Allen, Jonathan Franklin Myers, getting Talanoa Hufanga, right? Riley Moss, that's a draft pick that you've got playing big ball for you right now. And so what you have is an organization that knows where it's going, that's gotten the players that they need to get there, and has produced on the field the way you have to be successful. It starts at the top, and as you're seeing right now, the Broncos are rolling because of that expectation as well as commitment from everybody in the franchise.
Yeah, and that atmosphere in that fourth quarter was unbelievable. And it's just fun to kind of ride that wave, when you're getting wins, life in the NFL is good. So talking about Bo a little bit here, what have you seen from him this year? Like, has he looked like he's more comfortable out there? And specifically when he gets down, and you're down there in the fourth and everything's just open and you're able to play some of that backyard football, like it feels like he's more comfortable in those situations. Is there a way to like allow him to play that way throughout the whole game?
No, you cannot play that way the whole game. And what I love most about Bo Nix is he doesn't play the score. All right, and that's something that, a lot of players will say often in the NFL. Hey, we're not playing the score. I tell people all the time, we don't keep score, we play to win. There's different ways to do it, and that's what you're seeing from Bo Nix. It's hard for everyone to make a mistake and to let it go. Bo Nix does that better than I think any quarterback in the NFL. So I go back to his first start. He threw an interception. They asked him, Phil, what'd you see there? He goes, step back, threw it to the wrong team. I mean, he has a process for failure. A lot of people listening right now may not have a process for failure, but you need one. And he's had one from the beginning. So he understands he's going to grow. I think there's a tremendous amount of space for him to grow in terms of pre-snap reads, stepping up in the pocket, but he's doing everything he can, and he is 5-2, right? So say what you want, but he's playing better than a lot of other quarterbacks, and more importantly, nothing gives your offense confidence like a quarterback who plays their best football in the fourth quarter. Broncos country knows this with Tim Tebow. So it gets to a point now where you're on the team, there's no score you can't overcome, and you expect to create the situation that gets you a win in whatever game they're in. That is the only thing that coaches want for their players when they are looking to build a championship caliber team.
Yeah, his teammates must always have a lot of confidence just knowing that he's back there. Anything could happen in a game, and you feel like you got a shot no matter who the opponent is. So that's got to give a lot of confidence. But do you think that Sean is a little too conservative with him early in the game, and then like something like the switch flips where you're like, we got nothing to lose now, let's go let it rip? Or do you think like, what, I guess this is the way I want to ask you. How do you get off to a better start in some of these games? Because the Broncos have been known to have these magical fourth quarters. They did against the Eagles too. But I think that maybe against some teams, you want to be able to do that right from the jump.
Well, slow starts are indicative of bad practices, right? So there's something in the practice that is off. And it could be the coach's game plan, right? It could be the player's understanding of the game plan. And sometimes, Phil, coaches put in a huge game plan, things are going wrong, and they go back to what just will work in the game. And that's one of the things playing against the Bill Belichick team, the years that I did in the NFL, they would always accept where they were, accept the reality at halftime, and then make adjustments based on that. And that's what I see this Broncos team doing. Now, that means that you have more opportunities in the beginning of the game to say, hey, if we get, if then, that's how the best offenses work. If this doesn't work, then we're going to go to this. And so that can happen faster. Also, the practice, something's happening in practice where guys are just not ready to go, particularly offensively, when that whistle is blown. So the greatest coaches I played for, the Super Bowl champion coaches, they're starting with 2 or 3 runs in the first 5 plays. It just gets people going. It lets receivers run off some routes to set up other routes. Everybody loves to run the ball early, especially when it's 0-0. So to me, you just got to run the ball far earlier, far more often.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that running game because as an offensive lineman, I know you want to see more runs. Like it feels like the Broncos have that two-headed monster back there that we haven't seen quite get unleashed. I mean, J.K. Dobbins had the 100-yard game, but I know that you, especially as an offensive lineman, you want to see that ball get run a little bit more.
Well, 3 things happen when you run the football. 1, you're physical against the defense, right? You're making every single player on defense play defense the whole play and then make a tackle, right? Not a lot of people are built to do that for 4 quarters. Number 2, you're giving your offensive lineman information, right? Because every run, I like to tell my offensive line coaches when we get in, hey, call this run 3 times because the 3rd time, we got it, right? The first time you might have a blitz. Second time, somebody might miss a block, but the 3rd time, we are rolling, right? So you got to give your offensive lineman time on task with the same runs. That's one of the great things that Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak did. Sometimes the play calls would be, 18, 19, 19 weak, 17 dive, and then all of a sudden you're on the 20-yard line, right? So you got to commit to that run early and let your offensive lineman get that time on task. And then 3rd, it keeps the defense's eyes in the backfield, right? If you're playing a defense that's not worried about the run, there goes your play action. There goes any kind of move the pocket plays. So you've got to be able to run with the football to make those defenders look in that backfield for a split second, even if it's a pass.
Yeah, it just makes everything run a little bit better. Just everything. It affects the whole game. Even like Bo could just use his legs a little bit more. Sometimes I feel like he's so athletic. We saw the touchdown, when he gets outside.
Big block, Garrett Bowles. Come on now, Phil. Give Garrett Bowles his flowers. That was a huge block, big guy.
That was huge. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. I mean, Bowles has been having a great year as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's awesome to see him having this success. Probably because he's got to go up against some of those guys in practice, right? I mean, as an offensive lineman, what do you like about Nick Bonito? I mean, he kind of makes you think a little bit as a tackle out there.
I love his get off. I love his power moves that he does rushing the football. But more importantly, I love how he plays the run because you don't have to take him off the field. Right? I mean, think about this. If it's not Nick Bonito, then here comes Jonah Ellis going 100 miles per hour, right? So you think about just breaking through solid rock. And Nick Bonito is one of those players, he's going to get a chip in that rock every time he hits it. He's gotten sacks against the best offensive tackles in the game, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata, that man's 6'7", 340. He got sacks on him. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Joe Alt at the Chargers didn't give up a pressure the week before and gave up a sack. I think it was a sack and a half against Nick Bonitto. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. It was the right move to re-sign him. I think the Broncos got a steal. Hello. Yeah. And you got Nick Bonitto, who's happier than ever to be with one organization who recognizes his talents. But when it's Nick Bonitto, when it comes to Nick Bonitto, it's his get off, his physicality, and his willingness to defend the run as much as he is willing to go after the passer in the pass game.
It is amazing that, like, he didn't just, like, hit the NFL and was already like that. I mean, it's clear that he's worked on his craft because, you know, that first year two, like, it didn't go exactly as planned. And then all of a sudden it's blossomed into, I mean, he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
No question. And that dedication is part of the reason why the Broncos re-signed him.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us, it's hard to overcome failure, right? And even, you know, no one would say that Nick Bonitto's first 2 seasons were a failure. I believe he had an injury in that first season as well, right? So, but for a college player who's played every snap and been the star, that's a failure, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm not playing in 17 games, I'm not making an impact, I'm not doing what I came here to do. And the tendency as a human being is to say, well, it's the coach's fault. They've got to give me more opportunities. That's not what Nick Bonitto did. He went out there, he did the work, he worked on his get off, he worked on his hands in the pass play, he worked on his spin. And so he created the skills he needed to be successful. And that affects your locker room, right? Because he was working next to guys. He was doing extra work next to players, whether it was his get off or run fits. And now those young guys saying, okay, that's what it takes. That's what it takes to be a pro. I'm going to go do that. So not only did he create the skills, he created a better locker room because of the work he put in.
And a heck of a job by the Broncos to get him signed. And, like, that also must go through the locker room, right? Because, like, you saw Nick Bonitto put in the work, team rewards him. That's got to have just good vibes all throughout that locker room too, right?
Of course. And it's not just Nick Bonitto. It's also Jonathan Cooper, right? A couple of people were scratching their head about Jonathan Cooper getting his bag. They're not doing that anymore. Cortland Sutton, that was a steal of a contract too, re-signing him. And so when you can give your employees security in their job, when you can give your employees job security, the production goes through the roof. I mean, this is every industry in America, in the world, right? So the Broncos have rewarded the professionals in their organization, and by doing that, set the standard of how to be a pro for everyone else who wants to have success with the Broncos.
They got a big test coming up this week with the Cowboys. What have you seen from, I mean, it seems like Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams is having a career year. CeeDee Lamb is back. They've got a lot of weapons on that side of the ball, huh?
And the Broncos are not afraid. I mean, there have been times, Phil, there were times in my career and I thought, man, I don't know. I mean, there was a 2-14 season in Houston where we played the Broncos, and it was like, man, we hope to win this game, but I don't know, right? But the Broncos have the dudes, as we call them, right? They got the guys on the other side that can compete. So you got Patrick Surtain, Riley Moss, and let's be clear, Dak Prescott's not going to have a ton of time to throw the football. That affects a quarterback over time. And think about this. Nobody knows the Broncos better than Javonte Williams. Nobody knows Javonte Williams better than the Broncos, right? Yeah. So the Broncos have had Javonte Williams in their locker room. They've seen thousands of clips of him between practice and the game. So they're going to have a game plan for him that's going to feel unique. And it's always tough as a player when you're like, oh, they're picking on me in their game plan. Now, it either makes you level up, go above, or you can get caught in the matrix, as we call it. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. I think it's an opportunity for another notch on the Broncos' belt on their way to an AFC West title. And these are the games you got to win. The road is real when you're a team that can win a championship, and they got to win a game like this.
What do you like? Last one here on the Broncos, and then I got some other stuff for you that I want to hit on. But when things start getting on a roll and you're starting to feel the momentum and things are, you're going down that slope where you're just racking up these wins like you guys did in 2015. What is can you feel it happening during the course of the year where you're like, all right, this team's got it. Like we're just showing up, we're getting these wins, and we got some momentum. The train is rolling.
Well, the Super Bowl 50 season, we knew that before. We knew the talent before. And so you do get an idea of the talent, right, on your team. But then it becomes about something else, right? How are these guys showing up? How are they encouraging each other when there's a mistake? Because guess what? There's going to be a mistake, right? And so you do feel it. But the one thing we always said, Phil, the year of Super Bowl 50, we started rolling, hey, do less, right? Because the tendency now is, hey, you're winning. Everybody wants to come to the game. Do less. Hey, I told my family, look, you're coming in. If you want to come in and see me, you can see me Saturday at 2. I leave at 2:30 for the hotel. I'm doing less time with the family. I'm doing less time outside of the facility, doing anything that somebody else wants me to do. So the big key in success is to do less outside of your sport to focus on your craft.
Those are the things you guys sacrifice in order to win on Sundays, huh?
No question. Every single team that's won a championship, you got to sacrifice the dinners with family. You got to sacrifice people leaving their socks around your house. I mean, I have people that would come in on a Friday, Phil, and say, where are we eating for dinner? I said, I don't know where you're eating for dinner, but I'm eating at my house without you there. And it sounds very bad, right? Sounds kind of rude. And I'm not showing up at anybody's workplace on a Wednesday saying, take me to dinner, because Fridays are Wednesdays in the NFL, right? Yep. And right now, you can come hang out pretty much any weekend with me. And so there are levels to the game. There is time to do the things you want to do. But let me tell you, the parties are better when you've got free diamonds and hardware that they can't take away from you.
That is true. Those parties are the best.
You've been there. Yeah, you've been there.
I've been there. Yeah, I know, man. Hey, is it true that Fridays, that's when you get your best sleep? Because, hey, like night before the game, you're feeling a little bit anxious, but Friday night, that's where you could really get your best rest of the week?
Well, there's a lot. One of the most performance-enhancing methods right now in the NFL is sleep. And there's sleep doctors. When I was at the Steelers, they brought a sleep doctor in on the first day of camp. Everybody's got these blue light glasses, blackout blinds. I mean, this is a real thing in the NFL right now for players. And so, yes, 2 nights before a performance is when you want to have your best sleep. That includes no light pollution. That includes not eating or drinking 2 hours before you go to bed. And those are the kinds of things that are now at the forefront of sport, in addition to mental health. That's really creating, I think, a better game when you look at the product of the NFL and the product the players are putting on the field every day.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, that's very, very true. You did say one other thing that I thought was pretty interesting there. That Super Bowl 50 team, you knew you had that potential to win. Is there a difference there where, hey, heading into that season, you knew what was on the line versus this Broncos team, maybe just looking to take the next step or is continuing to develop, but maybe over the course of the year, you start thinking you got a chance. Like that must be 2 different sort of mindsets for a team, huh? Well,
if you're a player, you believe you can do it, whether you've done it before or not, right? So for me, I mean, this was the Super Bowl 50 season was my 9th year. So I'd seen talented teams that got beat in the playoffs by a less talented team that was willing to pay attention to details. And what happens, you get in these playoff games, Phil, and especially the Broncos found this out last year, right? At the Bills, they had a great first drive. They didn't score the rest of the game, right? So, yeah. But when you're in that game, what you realize is there's a 3rd and 2 situation that was talked about in training camp that you had kind of forgot the details of the importance, but the opposing team didn't. And they might not be as talented, but they were ready to win that situation. So that's the kind of thing that you learn. And as a player, you expect to win the Super Bowl, but you have to see the proof throughout the season. And right now, the Broncos are showing they are resilient, they are willing to correct mistakes, and they are willing to improve, because you have to improve every week in the NFL if you want to be a champion.
Yeah. Well said there. Awesome stuff. Thanks, Ryan. I got a few more questions for you here. This is Phil's 5, so it's sort of rapid fire. Okay. So
all right.
We'll let it shoot. What was your favorite away stadium to play at?
San Diego. Man, I almost didn't get back on the plane, Phil. The first time I was there, we had a veteran on the O-line, and he took Ryan Clady and I to get some tacos overlooking La Jolla Bay. I remember looking at the plane stairs thinking, like, I think I could just stay here and give back the rest of the money. Like, I love San Diego. And we ended up winning a couple of times on the road there when I was with the Broncos. So I always loved playing in San Diego. Beautiful place.
Yeah, miss going out to San Diego. NFL not there anymore. That was a fun stadium because the fans in those corners of the end zone, they were like right on top of you. And yeah, It was that can't beat San Diego weather too. So come on. What was your favorite part about being a professional football player?
That I could utilize my talent in a way that just let me create all of my dreams. I mean, I have a house and a wife and 3 kids. It was a lot. It was so much fun to go places that I'd never been. And so for me, playing football, the game loved me first. Phil, I was a chubby little kid with glasses on. I still remember, I didn't know how to hit. In my first practice, there was a corner running down the sideline, and turned out I knew how to hit, right? And I still remember my coach saying, Ryan, you keep this up, you have a chance to be special. And it was the first thing that I could do as a bigger kid, right? Partake and not get lapped running around the field and things like that. And then it took me amazing places, and I met amazing people. Played in London, got to travel with teammates. I mean, I didn't even think about a passport in high school. I'm from Minnesota, man. We're trying to go to Florida when it's cold, right? So being a professional athlete gave me the ability to hone a craft, to practice all the different martial arts I'd practiced in my life and really work on that focus, and then to provide for my family not only in security but in experiences, right? My wife, I'll never forget, Gary let us bring someone home at the Super Bowl 50 on the plane, and my wife's on the bus like, there's police outside the bus. I'm like, oh yeah, they're here for every game. She's like, really? We get on the plane and she's like, they have Flintstone push pops. I didn't even know they still made these. I'm like, yeah, you want two? So the experiences I've been able to give my family and the security I've been able to give my family, well, myself personally reaching my highest potential, it's a thank you that I can never fully give to the game of football. And most importantly, coaches like Gary Kubiak, coaches like Rick Dennison, Clancy Barone, coaches like, Charlie Weiss back in college teaching me how to be great, and Tyrone Willingham teaching me how to be a great man. So I've had great coaches. Shout out to Ray Hitchcock too, my high school O-line coach that gave me all the tools. And I just had people I could call on my whole life that I still call friends today. So football provided a lot, and I'm so glad I was able to give my effort in one direction to achieve a tangible goal.
Man, what a ride. I mean, that sounds like a dream, right? Like that sounds like a movie. So that's amazing. You kind of answered a little bit of this, but when did you know you had a shot at the league? Like, was there a moment where you're like, okay, I think I could do this?
Yeah, it's funny. It wasn't on the field. My junior year at Notre Dame, after the season, I got a message back in the day when we didn't have, cell phones like we do now. And they said, hey, coach needs to see you in his office. And I was like, oh no, like Charlie Weiss is not somebody you want to go to the office for. I'm like, and I'm walking over to the facility like, I know I didn't mess anything up. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I came in the meeting and Charlie Weiss goes, now I know you think you're going to go to the NFL, but here's why I think you should stay. And we went through a 30-minute meeting of why he thought I should stay. And I'm just sitting there the whole time like, what? Did he think I was leaving? Like, whoa. And then I literally left that meet, and he's like, I don't want an answer today, but I do want an answer by tomorrow. And I was like, Coach, the answer is I'm staying. I'm going to stay. Thank you for thinking I could be in the NFL. That wasn't even on my radar. And he kind of looked at me like, you got to be kidding me. And I literally left that meeting, and then a lot of other things started to make sense, right? People all of a sudden wanted to come to more games. And, it's like, I'm getting, it's like, and Charlie Weiss always said, you didn't get better looking overnight, right? So a lot of things made sense from that meeting, but I literally had not thought about the NFL until I had that meeting in the offseason with Coach Weiss.
Wow, that's really amazing. It kind of had like opened your eyes a little bit, huh?
I was like, okay, what is he? I was like, did he get the wrong Ryan? Like, what are you talking about here?
Did that change your approach that next year, your senior year? Like, were you like, all right, I got to lock in a little bit more because I could do it?
I never thought about what I could create in terms of a specific outcome. I always focused on the things I could control. And for me, like the NFL was an option, but it was also an option to me, like, going to Wall Street or going to law school. Like that was an option maybe, right? But once it became a real thing, and once I started getting kind of that feedback from others, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And unfortunately for me, I had a back surgery in the off season going into my senior year. Ended up having to have a surgery right when I got here to Denver. So things were kind of choppy there for that year. So I didn't get to enjoy it as much, taking epidural shots after games and stuff.
Yeah. It's tough. Sometimes, it can be tough, man. Okay, two more for you. What away from football? So, like, I know Broncos, Irish. That's your allegiance right there. But away from football, and Texans and Steelers too. But away from the game of football, what is your favorite team to like? You're just a fan of them.
That'd be the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. And what's funny now is Chris Cooper, one of my best friends in the NFL, former Bronco, he's an O-line coach there. And my rookie year, we got back from a game, and I was on the plane and said, "Hey, what was the Vikings score?" And he was like, "You can't ask that anymore. You're in the NFL." So I had to kind of go away from it. But now with him there, I can cheer for the Vikings again. And it's also one of those things as a Minnesotan, like cheering for the Vikings. You're hoping that you don't get your feelings hurt too bad, right? Because it always ends bad. So, but I love the Minnesota Vikings because that was the first place that I got to see an NFL game, and my grandfather got tickets right behind where the offensive line warmed up, and I got to see Matt Burke, the legendary center who went to my high school, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. So the Vikings were a catalyst in many ways.
Man, when they do that skull chant, there's like a few things in the NFL that could rival that. I mean, that is powerful, man, in that stadium. So that is a cool atmosphere there. Okay, and then the last one for you here is, you got all these things going at the end of a day when you have just a little bit of time to just relax. What is it that you do to try and unwind a little bit?
I play with my kids, hang with my wife. We're big on watching shows. I learned from the NFL and from some of my best coaches in the NFL, you got to be able to turn it off, right? You can't just be riding the lightning, as they say, for 24 hours. So, I love playing little video games. My therapist is like, is there something you can do 15 minutes in a day that you can kind of get away? I'm like, yeah, I can play some Call of Duty. So, I'll play some Call of Duty, spend time with my wife and my kids. I love being a dad, love being a husband, and I love enjoying the life that I work for. I think one of the things people miss, Phil, that you got to see up close, we work extremely hard at a young age to get where we are and to perform. And I wanted to create the stability and opportunity to enjoy my family that I've created. So every day is a blessing for me, and I do not take it for granted.
Yeah, fruits of your labor, man. You got to enjoy it while you can. Yeah, you got
juicy. They're so juicy.
Hey, what's up with your Irish, man? They're on a roll now. Big win against USC, huh?
Playoff bound again. And let's remember, it's not just my team, it's God's team, Notre Dame. All right. So you remember that out there. If you cheer against Notre Dame, you're going to have to answer upstairs. Don't do that.
Touchdown Jesus. Come on. Yeah. Ryan, thank you so much, man, for spending some time on the program. And I always feel like I learned something from you. I'm entertained by you. And it's just awesome to catch up, my friend.
Phil, you're one of the best people I know, especially in the broadcast business. Thank you for being you, and I'll join you anytime.
My thanks to Ryan Harris for taking some time to join the program. The Irish, hey, they lost their first 2 games of the year, but now they've gone on a roll here, have the bye week this week, and then, I feel like the playoffs are in their future, especially with that expanded class. So we'll have to see what happens with Notre Dame. But thanks to Ryan for providing some insight here. Always have some good one-liners. I love some of the things he was saying there. But I'm interested. Leave a comment here in the description. Let me know what you think about this Broncos team right now, because they're 5-2, but they just the first 3 quarters, I mean, the fans were booing at Empower Field. Things just weren't going right. They couldn't barely get a first down. And you're like, man, maybe this team isn't as good as we thought. And then all of a sudden, they couldn't do anything wrong. And so, they got a couple lucky bounces here and there, but they did pull off a miracle there in that Giants game. And I agree with Ryan talking about Bo giving this team the belief, and that is powerful because it is easy. I've seen it happen a lot where you're down early in the game and the body language, that's what you're looking at, and it's not right, and you just feel like, all right, these guys got no shot. But not with this Broncos team. The fact that they were able to battle and come through it and win, that tells you something about this team. Now, you don't want to do it every week, though, because I think emotionally it's draining, physically it's draining, and for the fans, you're going to have a heart attack. So we don't want that. I do think I agree. Practice, getting off to a faster start. You got to build that up throughout the week. And then when game day starts, boom, let's run the football earlier. Let's get J.K. Dobbins into the mix. Sometimes football players need to feel a little bit of crunch. They need to get hit a little bit, work their way into the game. That lets all all the energy kind of mellow out a little bit, and then you can get down to playing football. And I think that we'll see this from this Broncos team. Run the ball earlier, and good things will happen. And make sure that your week of practice is intense and it's good and you're ready to go. So I did want to talk about a little bit on Twitter here this week. So much talk about what happened with Dre Greenlaw after the game. Got suspended for this Cowboys game after what the NFL said he's running after the ref. You can see the video. He does run after the ref. And then the NFL says that he made some threatening comments. We don't know exactly what was said, but it did look like Dre Greenlaw was very upset with the refs. And look, a lot of fans are saying, well, look, that referee crew was terrible. There were some calls at the end of that game, that defensive pass interference. We saw Richard Sherman tweet this week that it was one of the worst calls he'd ever seen. I do think that these refs are trying their best. And I do think that pass interference is one of the hardest calls. It's one of the more subjective calls that you can make. And I do think that specifically with underthrowing deep balls, teams have figured out, look, it's better to underthrow a guy because there's a likelihood there's going to be some contact. You're running as fast as you can down the field. The offensive player slows down and tries to come back into the defensive player to try and make the catch because the ball's underthrown. There's going to be 9 times out of 10, that's going to create defensive pass interference. People are saying Riley Moss turned around. Yeah, but there was still contact there. Yeah, you turn around, but there's a lot of contact there where he was preventing the offensive player from coming back and getting the ball. It's a questionable call, but I do think it's something that the league's going to have to look at and be like, okay, teams are starting to do this where they know they're going to get defensive pass interference. How can we adjust how we referee this? Because I do think that it's killing these defensive players because Riley Moss is in great position there. He's running full speed down the field. He knows to look back at the ball. So he's doing everything right. But just as a defensive player in that position, it's impossible to slow down at the exact same rate that the offensive player is slowing down to come back at the ball at, and there's going to be contact there. But this is how that play is being called right now, all around the league. Same with the roughing the passer. That's going to get called everywhere around the league. So I know that Broncos fans are frustrated. Clearly, Dre Greenlaw was frustrated. Sean Payton was frustrated with the refereeing. But believe me, these guys are trying to do the best that they can. They get reviewed and graded after every game. They're trying to be better. And this is just part of sports, right? The refs are a factor in sports. There's human error. This is part of what makes sports awesome, right? There's drama. There's stuff to debate about after, and the referees are part of that. So I do think that Dre was in the wrong there. He should have not run after the referee. His team won the game, right? And after that final whistle, you can't do anything about what happened. You got to forget those calls and just move forward. Go celebrate with your teammates. Now, some people are saying that the ref shoved Justin Strnad. I don't think that that's what happened. I've been on those fields after a game-winning celebration. It's mayhem down there. It's chaos. You've got huge football players all running to join this mosh pit. It did look like the referee was trying to get out of the way there. Justin Strnad's coming into his area, and he sort of kind of put his arm up a little bit to just try and get out of the area. I don't think that referees are out there on the field looking to shove football players. That's just not what they're doing, okay? So I don't think that Dre Greenlaw is running after the referee to defend Justin Strnad. That's not what's happening there, okay? So I just think that this Broncos team plays with a lot of emotion, which is really a good thing. It's an emotional sport, and you got to play with emotion. You got to have that passion out there. But once that final whistle hits, you can't be doing stuff like that. And that's just my 2 cents on it, okay? I put out a tweet this week. I think it upset some Broncos fans, but I try to call it like I see it, all right? And that's a genuine take I have, so I'm going to put it out there. But I do think that after the whistle, go celebrate with your teammates. Go enjoy the moment. There's not that many moments that are like that in the NFL in your career. Go enjoy it and don't let the refs ruin that moment for you, and don't let that hurt your teammates the next week because you're suspended. So you just got to have more discipline, I think, and that kind of goes toward a lot of things with this Broncos teams with the penalty problems. They're going to have to figure out a way to kind of make these penalties sort of die down a little bit. So I do have a bourbon review here. Wanted to give a couple of shout outs though before some comments here on YouTube. Ruben Ruiz 2522. He mentioned that last week with Chris Harris Jr. I did not get to the rapid fire questions at the end. I know that's some people's favorite part, so I'm sorry, Ruben. I was running along with Chris Harris there, and I did want to ask him about some memories from Super Bowl 50. So I do apologize for not having that last week, and I love the stuff I got there from Ryan today. So we'll obviously try to continue that moving forward. Pool Shark 121 said, "Hey, you should read some more of these comments. It's fun when you get the shout out." So Pool Shark 121, thank you very much. And then also Christopher Kramer NW8EK. He said last week's episode made his night, and I appreciate that. That comment means a lot to me. So I do appreciate that. And then also a shout out to Edwin Espinoza 8236. Edwin, I know you're always checking out these episodes, and I appreciate you always leaving a comment week after week. Edwin did suggest that I try out Knob Creek Rye 7. So that is this week's bourbon review. I have not tried this yet, so I'll struggle with this wax top here. But, rye has this green look here, so that's how you know sometimes in the store that you're getting a rye versus a bourbon. Bourbon, maybe orange, but a rye, you'll typically see this green label. This is a rye 7. That means it's been aged 7 years here. Knob Creek, a Jim from the Jim Beam Distillery. You can see that here on the back from Claremont, Kentucky. And then the color here looks sort of like a light gold color, I would say, and it has that classic Knob Creek look. So this proof here is 100 proof. So you're getting a good bang for your buck here on the proof. And let's go ahead and give this a try here. Pour this into my glass. And I'll try this neat, but of course, Knob Creek, this can be used in a cocktail. You could use it on the rocks, especially, if you're looking for like sort of a rye that packs a little punch in a rye cocktail where you can taste some of that spice. Knob Creek typically can be a good one here. So let's give this a smell. Good nose there. You can smell a little bit of the rye. This one, so Jim Beam and Knob Creek here, they did not put out the mash bill, but it's been reported or people believe that this is just 51% rye barley, which is just over the legal limit for what a rye, like if it wants to be classified as a rye, this is just over that limit. So you can still smell some of that. You get a little bit of the charred oak and then some citrus, or maybe like more of like an apple-y, nice for autumn here. So let's give it a taste. Nice. You get that rye taste right off the bat, and then it sort of mellows out. You do continue to taste some of that apple or sort of citrusy note, like a little bit of just a zing a little bit, and then it sort of mellows out toward the end where you kind of get some of those classic whiskey sort of bourbon-y, vanilla-y type of notes there. So yeah, good. You get the heat right away. Like there's no mistake that this is a rye, even though they say it's just 51%, but yeah, second taste, always let that burn die out a little, and then you get a better second taste there. And I agree. A little bit of that rye peppery taste, and then it sort of mellows out, and it's a nice finish there. So I picked up this bottle on sale actually for $31. I think that it retails around 40, but you can find this pretty much anywhere. So look for a deal. And yeah, I mean, I think it's as with Knob Creek, it's just you're getting good value. It's it's nicer than any sort of bottom level stuff, and this is like sort of a good go-to bottle. Like if you enjoy rye and you're at the liquor store and you're like, okay, I just need something. I got some friends coming over. We're going to watch the Broncos game or something. This is a good go-to bottle, I think. And you can do a lot of different stuff with this. You can make a cocktail, and I enjoyed this. It's not like going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever tasted. But for the value, for $31, you're getting a good deal here. Nobody's going to complain about getting some Knob Creek rye here. And I think that this is good value. It's good go-to. This is a nice one to just have on your cart when people come over to and just say, hey, I got some Knob Creek here. Let's enjoy this bottle. So it's very, very good for the fall. That's a lot of fall flavor sort of packed right there. Some spice, some heat, some of that appley, vanilla. This is what I think of with rye and sort of with the fall time. So this is a good bottle. So thank you, Edwin, for the suggestion there. Anybody else have any suggestions? Please leave a comment below. And also let me know what you think of the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that time there with Ryan Harris. I know that I did, and a lot of good memories with Ryan Harris. We did do that fun thing before media night at Super Bowl 50. Everybody's in the staging area. Everybody's hanging out, ready to go out and meet the rest of the media, where it's like insane, and you've seen it on TV in the arena. But beforehand, everybody's sort of hanging on this green roomish type of area, because all players have to go out and be open to the media at media night. And so we gave Ryan, I knew he was interested in doing media after he was done playing football. And so I said, hey, here's a mic, go interview your teammates. And he went around and had some fun, especially with Trevor Siemian. Nobody knew Trevor Siemian at that point. It was Peyton Manning, Brock Osweiler. Those were the quarterbacks. That's all you knew. Turns out that Trevor Siemian would later go on and become a Broncos starter for a couple of years. So at that point, though, he was a rookie and nobody really knew who he was. So a funny moment there. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. What you may have seen from that time also is we gave Aqib Talib the microphone, and he went over to Wade Phillips, took off his big chain, put that on Wade, and he was like, now we're dripping. And that was everybody was saying that they were dripping during that time. That was 10 years ago, man. It's crazy how fast time flies. So you may have seen the Wade Phillips clip, but during that same little hour there hanging out, we also had some fun with Ryan Harris. So some good memories from that time. Man, gluten-free too. I could not cut out the carbs like that. That would be too much for me. I'd be a little too cranky, I think. So anyway, please like and subscribe as we continue to grow the channel here. And we'll be back next week with another great guest. All right, that's going to do it for us for Broncos and Bourbon. I'm Phil Milani.